Hey, Alice, how you doing?
I am doing great. We just got back from Europe. Finished about 25 shows over in Europe, and we got about 10 days off. Then we start the American tour.
All right. Well, as you know, you're going to be here in Tucson on August 17th at a venue that I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you're
a
familiar
nice
with.
warm day in Tucson, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So, are you back home now, up in Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm back in Arizona, but we spent all the whole beginning of summer in Europe, and we got back from Australia, and then the European tour, and mostly those are all festivals, through Europe, and then now back to the American side, and then we go back to Europe again.
Do you ever slow down?
And I hope not. The word retirement is not in my vocabulary. I have never felt better in my life. I've never done better shows than the ones I'm doing now. My band is unbelievable. Nita Strauss and Ryan Roxy and Glenn Sobel. I mean, it's like I surround myself with the best players.
So, Nita had
That makes
left for a
the
little
world a
bit.
lot
She's back
easier.
now, right, Alice?
Yeah, she was with Demi Lovato for a year, and then came back. We knew she was coming back.
Oh, that's
We
great.
we loaned her out for a year.
And I cannot wait to see the show August 17th over at Casino del Sol. What can people expect from Alice Cooper this time around?
It's an entire Alice Cooper production. I mean, it's got everything. In fact, I was saying it'd be funny at the end of the show if like a giant kitchen sink falls on me, and they could say it's everything and the kitchen sink.
Add the kitchen
It's
sink.
got the guillotine, the straitjacket, the snake, the whole thing. It's a big production, and like I said, this band I have is probably the best touring band of anybody out there. They are just so sharp that the show moves really quick, and I think every single song has got some sort of device in it. So it's a full out Alice Cooper show.
If somebody has never seen Alice Cooper before, okay, which is hard to believe in Arizona, but there's always the younger people who are discovering classic rock and the new rock that you put out. What can they expect? Like, what is different with an Alice Cooper show compared to anything else they've ever probably have seen at this point in their life?
Well, if you say, let's say you say, I bring the lyrics to life. In other words, I don't. If you say "Welcome to my nightmare," don't just say it. Give him the nightmare. Show him the nightmare. Every single song has got some device that's a visual device for that song. And there's 25, 26 songs in the show. Of course, there's the more theatrical ones, the guillotine at the end, and Dwight Fry and the straitjacket, the snake bite with the giant python, and a bunch of other surprises in it. But it's a full out. We do all the hits, and the energy level I think is probably what most people are not expecting. It's probably going to be the highest energy show you see all year.
Well, and one thing I know that you're doing this year, and you seem to do it about every 4 years, you're running for president again, I see.
Yeah, which would be the worst job on the planet. But at the same time, the absurdity of it has always been, who was the last person you would want me to be the president would be me, And so, I mean, this time Alice is a full out up there. And except that when you look at him, he's in a straitjacket, which is kind of a satire, on what's going on right now. Politics is so insane. Well, here's a guy that's running for president in a straitjacket. At least he's honest that he's insane.
At your shows, do you have Alice for President merch?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I am extremely non-political. I mean, I would only do this because the song was a hit. Yeah, Elected was a huge hit. It was John Lennon's favorite song.
Oh, wow.
Elected was. And because it was such a great satire on politics, but you're never going to see anything political in my show. I just hate politics.
Well, and you're doing it for fun. You're having fun with it.
In an election year, yeah, you have to do it. You have to do the satire on the whole situation.
And our both political parties certainly give us a lot to satire.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's just like we're living in such a Kurt Vonnegut world right now.
Yeah.
Where everything is so absurd, that I don't even have to, for a person like me or a comedian, I mean, it's writing itself, In
a world where truth is now stranger than fiction.
Well, by far. Yeah, we're sitting here, and it's so funny because it used to be easy to shock an audience in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Now nobody's really trying. We're not really trying to shock an audience. I don't think anybody is shock rock anymore. But those elements still remain in the show because they're fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's still fun to watch the guillotine and the fact that you really buy into it because of what happens before that. You're really concerned about this character, Alice, up there, of what happens. And, that's what I like about it. I want the audience to get involved in the show. We don't do a lot of lasers. We don't do things like that because I want the emphasis to be on the character, Alice, what happens to him and what exactly he's doing. But all that happens during all these songs that everybody knows, Feed My Frankenstein and Poison and No More Mr. Nice Guy, and of course, School's Out at the end.
So speaking of School's Out, one thing I've noticed the last few years, you've kind of interpolated it with Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. Are you still doing that? I really like how you did that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Bob Ezrin, my producer, produced both those records.
Oh, yeah, he did. You're right.
He produced that. We did it first with School's Out, with the kids singing, and then they did it with The Wall, and it might have been the same kids singing. But if you take the two songs and put them together, the riff for School's Out, da 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 da, we don't need no education, da 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 da. They fit together like a glove.
Oh, they do.
The two songs just fit together perfectly, and Pink Floyd were always friends of ours. I mean, back in the early days, they used to live in our house. I mean, back in the early days when nobody had ever heard of either one of us.
Oh, wow.
They lived with us for a while. Yeah.
And the interesting part is you both are they're theatrical in a different way, but both are theatrical bands.
Yes. Yeah. Well, back then they had Syd Barrett, and Syd Barrett was just so insane. I mean, he was very hard to explain, this guy. And yes, we actually had the same light show back then.
Oh, wow.
It was very basic, but when we played together, we kind of watched each other's show and went, what? We were like kindred spirits, They were much, I think, than the next Pink Floyd, when Syd Barrett left, was the David Gilmour Pink Floyd,
mm-hmm.
which was a lot more airy, a lot more stoned. I mean, it was all those big, long songs that went on and on and on, and it was definitely a stoner audience.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So I got a couple questions for you here locally, here in Arizona, and I'm super happy. I was really bummed when, and I'm putting my fingers in quotation marks, when you retired from the radio station back in October, but really happy when you came back this year. What can you explain to the people, what brought Alice's Attic back? I love that Alice's Attic is back on the air in KLPX.
Yeah, well, what happened was, we're part of a syndicate, and somebody bought the syndicate and just shut it down. And so that meant all the guys that were in our, in that syndicate, all of our shows went down, and then somebody came along and bought the syndicate and put us back on. So I didn't want to do nights with Alice Cooper anymore. I had an opportunity to do Alice's Attic, which made it much more of a theatrical thing because now you're going up into Alice's attic,
I
and
love
there's
it.
characters up there. You know, there's what would you find in Alice's attic? Well, there would be broken dolls that talk. There would be a butler that is, pretty much lurch. And so I could be a little bit more. I can have a lot more fun with it because when you're coming to hear the show, you're actually coming up into Alice's attic.
I love it. I did not know that was the reason for the name. That's fantastic. And we run the show now
Yeah.
every single Sunday through Friday night, 7 to midnight. So you're here in Tucson
that's
6
great.
nights a week.
Oh, that's great, and I have fun doing it. I've been doing it for 22 years now.
Yeah.
And I never get tired of doing the show. I love doing the radio show.
Well, we love having you here on the air here in Tucson. We've been one of your longest, affiliates going back, I think, to the very beginning. One more question for you, Alice.
The funny thing was when it went down, when they told me that the show was not going to be anymore, I it was like a shock.
Oh, I
I
bet.
went, what? I said, are we not drawing, is our ratings down? They said, no, the ratings are fine. It's just that some guy bought the thing and just turned it down. And I just kept looking and going, so we didn't do anything wrong. No.
Well, I could.
The next thing you know, they called up and said, you're back on, and everybody. And I said, well, I insist on my crew, the same crew I had before. And they said, absolutely.
Well,
It's great being back on.
I can tell you this, Alice. It definitely was not ratings. I've worked at this station for 17 years. You've been on the entire time, even longer. In fact, my ex-roommate is your voice guy for Alice's Attic, Greg. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've known Greg going back 25 years. I'm a Phoenix boy originally. And
Oh, that's great.
So
that's so cool.
I'm happy you're using them again. But you were number one, nights, adults and men, 25-54 and 35-64, number one. So when they told me they were getting rid of the show, I was pissed. So I'm so glad you're back because our ratings took a hit when you disappeared. And, when you came back, we made a big hoopla about it, and the ratings are coming back, and we're very happy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, again, it's something I think you can tell that I enjoy doing the show.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing in there that feels like work to me. I just love to turn the mic on and just take off on it,
Well, when you went away, I had every single syndicator across the country trying to replace me with somebody that sucked, and so I was so happy when you came back. One more question for you, Alice. Obviously, we know you're going to be here in Tucson on August 17th at Casino del Sol, but I'm letting you know, and I'm going to do a little humble brag here. I actually have an Alice Cooper, Arizona license plate that says Rock DJ.
Oh, cool.
I've had it for the last year and a half.
Solid rock. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got the license plate and how it benefits Arizona?
Well, here's the deal. We have 3 teen centers now called Solid Rock. And any teenager can come in and learn guitar, bass, drums, singing, art, anything. It's like a mini Juilliard kind of thing, except it's all free. Any teenager can come in and every day and learn whatever they want to learn in there, and it's all free. And so, that's just one of the things that I do. The Christmas pudding show at the. I call up my friends and just go, "Hey, why don't you come in? We'll do 3 or 4 songs," and that's pays for it. That and the golf tournament, and but Solid Rock is really the whole. That's my other passion, is being able to educate kids in music and in art and drama, whatever it is. And I wanted to make sure that it was free, that the kids that couldn't afford to go to art school could come in here and learn from the best people.
I got a tour of it a few years ago, and it's an amazing, the original one, and I know you've opened up 2 others, or in the process of opening up another one up there. Is there any chance of opening up an affiliate down here in Tucson?
Oh, are you kidding? I have made that very clear to the board that I want Tucson. I want a really good one in Tucson, because I mean, Tucson needs one, maybe
Yes.
two.
I agree.
Tucson's, could use two of these. And what it does, it takes kids away from what's available on the street. You know what I mean? If you're going to put energy into something, I tell them, I said, a band is a gang, except nobody's shooting at you, and you're
Yeah.
not going to jail, unless you're Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue. But other than that, I mean, I said, it's why would you want to get into a situation where you could spend the rest of your life in jail, or you could be in a band and having the time of your life? I said it's a pretty easy choice, except the fact they didn't have that option before. Now they have that option with solid rock.
And it's more than just bands. I know that your wife teaches dance, and there's other art forms there as well, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And we get some kids that come in there, and we have one kid that started out, had no idea what a guitar was. I'd put him in my band. That's how good he is.
Wow.
I mean, this guy that can really play. And we get singers, we get drummers, and sometimes you go in and you have no idea that you have that talent. So we just say, come in and find your talent. Try bass, try guitar, try this, try that. And I guarantee you'll find something. And when they do, they're there every day at 3 o'clock.
So it truly is an after-school place.
Home. Yeah, it's after school, yeah. In fact, we even have a bank of, computers to do your homework on. If you want to come and do your homework and then take your guitar lessons or your drama lessons or your dance lessons.
Wow, that's fantastic. What was the inspiration for it, Alice?
It was just one of those things where I looked around and I said, what do we need? And I watched a really awkward drug deal go down with these two 14-year-old kids, like on bikes. And I said, how does that kid not know that he might be the best guitar player in Arizona, or the other kid might be the best drummer? Because they never had the opportunity to go in and see if they were. They might end up being an artist. They might be a tattoo artist. We have a full art project, a full art studio. And really the only obligation you have is to show up. We're a Christian nonprofit, but I mean, it's not one of those things where you have to, we're not pushing anything on you at all. It's just a bunch of Christian guys, business guys that are on the board that said, let's give these kids every opportunity to develop into something else other than just being on the street.
How long have you been running this?
22 years, 23 years, something like that.
If you could put a number on it, how many kids do you think you've affected?
Oh my gosh! Well, we get 100 kids a day.
Wow.
We just opened one in not in Glendale, in Goodyear, and we have one in Mesa, and we have one in Phoenix. So, I mean, if you're getting 100 kids a day for the last, I don't know, I'd say 8-9 years, some kids age out.
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of new kids come in. But I mean, the great thing about it, there's never any, we don't have, nobody gets into fights. It's really a creative place. It's like if you really feel creative, this is the place you want to be.
How do kids get involved? Obviously, I know how you could find out more about it, but how do the kids get involved? How, if you're a parent or a young kid and you live in the Phoenix area and hopefully someday in the Tucson area, how would you get your child involved in this?
Show up. You just show up.
Simple as that.
It's that simple.
Wow.
Yeah. You just show up and say, and the person there say, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to try guitar. Okay. Well, there's the guitar studios over there. There's like 5. There's all these guitar teachers, bass, drums, photography, art, dance. I mean, we try to cover the whole thing. You just show up, and that's all it is to it.
That's amazing, Alice. From the state of Arizona and being a parent myself, thank you for offering this for the kids.
Well, and the thing about it is it does it does dissuade kids from getting involved in things that are too available on the street.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that. And now it's getting even more dangerous with fentanyl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one grain too much and you're dead.
A friend of mine lost her son to it.
Pretty,
It sucks.
I have 5 or 6 people that I know that have lost sons and daughters to it.
It's scary.
It's just it's evil. It's absolutely evil, and so this is a place where that's not going to happen.
Well, and the cool part is you can make a donation and get a really cool Alice Cooper, Arizona license plate and support it.
That was another thing. When somebody said, well, let's try and get a license plate. So far, I've been a lottery, scratcher.
I remember that.
Yeah, now we're a license plate, but that does support solid rock. Which is great. I love things like that.
Yeah, I was. I got it. I went and got it when I found out about it. Then I was, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to see if they have rock DJ as a joke, and it came up, and I go, okay, well, now I can never commit any crimes because they got an Alice Cooper plate that says rock DJ. So
that's so cool. Yeah, yeah. It's really it's such a neat thing, and a lot of this stuff just falls in our lap. Somebody will come in and say, hey, I know a legislator that could probably help you get this license plate. And we have one guy that does nothing but looks for things like that in the organization. And I'm surprised as anybody else. I go, really? We get a license plate?
That's really cool, though. And I've actually seen a few driving around Tucson.
I have a couple of them on my cars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun driving down the road and you'll see somebody with one and you kind of give each other that wave like, okay, we know.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, Alice, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking time especially after being out of the country for so long, and enjoy your 10-day vacation. And I look forward to seeing you back here in Tucson on August 17th out at Casino del Sol. And again, thank you for being back on the radio here on 96.1 KLPX.
Hey, come on backstage and say hi when we play there, okay?
I definitely will, Alice. I've met you many times. You've always been very, very gracious, and I want to thank you for that as well.
Oh, well, great. Thank you, man. And I'll see you then.
All right, we'll see you then, Alice. Have a good one.
Okay, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.